Stony, the road we trod, across the sands of time, through turbulent waves, from the bellies of beasts to underground railroads, migration, from Selma bridges to Darfur highways, from streets where we march to beats that move us, from the fire of protest to the fire of celebration, of carnival, of junkanoo, of festival, anting anting. If we can't walk, we run. If we can't run, we fly. We make a way to make our way. From hashtags to hand drums, from live streams to living rooms, from Lagos streets to London blocks, to every corner we claim as home. Every step, a link. Every link, a lifeline. Everywhere we go, there we are, as we've always been. So,
Good afternoon, good people. Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Karita Brown. I should take a microphone. May I have your microphone?
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? So I am Dr. Karita Brown. I'm one of the proud board members of ADAMA, and I'm here to welcome everybody and to introduce our phenomenal panel that we will be treated to today. So I would like to welcome everyone to the 66th episode of ADAMA's Arts Salon series, Fall 2025 season. ADAMA Arts Salon is a series of conversations featuring contemporary artists, curators, scholars, and more from across the African diaspora. We host the Art Salon series here at Pittsburgh Yards, as well as exhibitions and other creative projects. We would like to inform everyone of ADAMA's exhibition right here to your right. Please check it out if you haven't already after today's panel. It's called Patacones, Paintbrushes, and Power. This exhibition is a groundbreaking body of work that connects Portobello, Panama with Atlanta, Georgia. It bridges cultures, stories, and generations across the African diaspora. This exhibition is more than art. It's about seeing ourselves reflected everywhere we go, in brushstrokes, in the photographs, in the stories carried through the music, memory, and movement. It's about recognizing our mothers, our fathers, our children, and our communities, and the creativity of others. Between 1995 and 2015, Tyler Portobello and the Creative Currents Artist Collaborative brought together African American and Afro-Latinx artists to live, work, and dream together. That collaboration planted seeds of connection that continue to grow here in ADAMA. So please keep that in mind as you experience and walk through the phenomenal exhibition. But we here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get to the guest of the hour. I want to briefly introduce our moderator and our speaker for today. And this is a special pleasure of mine as a fellow Black academic. I will start with our moderator, Dr. Danielle Dickens, who is an associate professor of psychology at Spelman College. All right. And one thing that you must know about Dr. Dickens is that she is also a proud Spelman alumna. Okay. That's right. She a Black feminist scholar and social psychologist. Her research focuses on identity development and formation of Black women, particularly how Black women navigate workplaces, especially in STEM. She is the co-author of Psychology of Black Womanhood, which is the first textbook to examine the psychological experiences of Black girls and women in the U.S. She has received several honors. I will just name one, the American Psychological Association, which is like the big gym, the national joint, okay? Awarded Dr. Dickens the Black Women's Foremothers Mentorship Early Career Award. So let us give it up to Dr. Danielle Dickens, who will moderate the conversation with our interdisciplinary artist of today. So it is a special pleasure to introduce Ebony Blanding. Ebony Blanding is a writer and director with deep Southern roots and a passion for telling stories that sit at the intersection of the mystical and the everyday. Introductions to Southern Gothic tales and Black folklore from family griots and community elders shaped how she imagines the universe through an Afrofuturist lens, fueling her desire to create cinematic worlds centered on the emotional, spiritual, and adventurous lives of Black women, girls, and children. She creates across mediums, from film, television, branded content, and installation, and moves fluidly between narrative, experimental, and documentary forms. Whether she's crafting a civil rights period piece or a coming-of-age fantasy, Blanding is drawn to stories where Black imagination leads. Her work has been screened at SXWX, Cape Town International Film Festival, Atlanta Film Society, and streamed in Atlanta International Airport. In the words of Ratchet Karita, Ebony Blanding, Millie rocks on any block. Okay. And I will end with this. She is also the co-founder of the Atlanta-based film collective House of June. We're going to support House of June, y'all. A 2021 Black Magic Collective Future Directives Fellow and a former filmmaker in residence with Atlanta Film Society. She is a preacher's kid, so we know she was bad. Okay, that's what that means when people say that. A preacher's kid who sees directing as a form of communion. She's most at home guiding actors into emotional truth and crafting work that makes room for the unseen to rise to the surface. Without further ado, let us thank our panel.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you all for having us here. Thank you all for coming. It feels so good to be in this space. So before we get started, I want us to ground what we'll be talking about. And so as mentioned earlier, I'm deeply invested in telling the stories of Black girls and women and how they navigate identity through my research and teaching. And particularly thinking about within psychology and how we study their attitudes, their emotions, their spirit, their behaviors. And we know that these things do not exist in isolation, right? That it shows up in our bodies, it shows up in our stories, and the work that we do as well. And so, Ebony, just some of the research I've done is that you speak truth to that. That you give, you tell stories that include, as mentioned earlier, gives way to imagination and creativity. And so I'm looking forward to our discussion today and talking about Black girls and women, Black womanhood, everything, and who we are and maybe who we aspire to be and who we can become. So my first question is, it's an intro question. So think about not just who you are, but what, social, personal, political factors have shaped the ways in which you tell stories about Black people, but particularly Black girls and women.
I love that. And thank you everyone for being here. I see so many faces that I love. When I think about what has shaped the way that I tell stories, it is deeply rooted in intergenerational stories and how we connect with the generations that come before us. I tell folks all the time that the best storytellers that I know of are my aunts, the matriarchs of my family, my uncles, the ones who just never be quiet at the family reunions. Like, it's very, very close knit to how I know good storytelling. And in regards to honoring Black women, girls in particular, I think for me that was just ingrained because there was never a room, there was never a conversation, there was never a hierarchy, if you will, that I saw growing up where women weren't a part of a deepened conversation. And co-leading it, with our patriarchal support. But I always saw women at the head. And I always saw women holding space for other people to feel comfortable telling their stories. So I think for me, it was just a natural doing, if you will, of how I always centered that expression through the female gaze. Yeah.
Nice. So can you talk about how you got started with this work?
Yapping too much, talking a lot. Early on, just really love engaging with stories, engaging with poetry in particular. I remember like some of my first teachers when they introduced me to the Harlem Renaissance, and just being able to just swim in all of the waters of that poetry and that legacy. And then, just exploring deep rooted red clay stories where, like I said, those family griots, where one story would get passed down to the next, and it would have some more fluff on it, like, some tall stories that were added onto it. But I think in that, just really being able to see how important it was to hold stories, and how important it was to then pass those stories down, was something that was always familiar and was something that I always revered as something that was really important.
I love that. So, in thinking about, you talked about what has inspired the work that you're doing. And we suck in a lot, right? We get things from our family, from social media, etc., the ways in which we're socialized. So what's something that you're unlearning right now?
Not you.
Yeah, I'm starting, yes.
I know, that's right. What am I unlearning? So I'm unlearning what it looks like to heal. I think for me, rushing through healing is something that I have done a lot throughout different experiences in my life. Like, I will feel as though, like, okay, I am working out consecutively for a month. I did it. I got all the endorphins I need to get. But like, it being a part of the practice is something that I'm noticing that I have to be tethered to it. It has to be a forever journey. And so I think really unlearning that there's a timeline on healing. I think also breaking away those false, just declarations of I've healed. It's like it's so forever, it's so permanent that I don't have to make a declaration. I can just continue evolving, and knowing that I am in tune with the healing. I don't have to like call cut on it. There's not an end to it. It's just a forever practice. Yeah,
I love that. I think that's something too that I had to unlearn as well. Like you said, it's a process with healing.
Yeah,
and especially when you think about within psychology, it's like, is there ever a point when people are completely healed, right? That we go through different stages and different things from our past show up as triggers in different situations.
Yeah.
Maybe we thought that we healed, right? But then maybe it shows up in different ways in our lives. So my next question is there a moment in your creative journey that you feel like changed everything for you?
Okay, so there have been so many points in my creative journey where I was about to like pull the plug, call it quits, right? And so I have like a bunch of girlfriends. I would call them and be like, "Girl, you need some books for your library?" And they would always no, and they'd be like, "No, I don't need any books for my library. What are you doing?" Right? Or just things I would start to kind of give away because I was just not necessarily thinking that the journey was aligning for me. And so I think that really being able to sit and look at it and realize that as long as I'm creating, I'm doing what I feel I'm called to do. As long as I am staying open, to what I feel like are downloads from the Most High, I'm staying teachable, as long as I am staying a part of the process and I'm not rushing the process. Yeah. And I think a lot of times in particular, capitalism, it will make you rush all of the things. Yeah. And I think for me with my practice, I've had to learn that the success is not measured by the things I accomplish from it. The success, if you will, if we're going to use that word, is being able to stay connected to the source enough that I can tell stories. My grandmom, she passed away at 94 years of age. And one of the things that she would forever always say is, I just pray that I keep my mind, and she prayed that she can keep her lipstick on her lips.
Yeah, I love it.
And if I don't know nothing better than that, I'm like, I feel that, right? Yes. Because I think so much, in particular, my journey of being able to stay connected to stories is being able to have a clear portal. And so that's my only prayer these days is just God, keep me open, keep me fluid, keep me unstuck. I think a lot of times, especially when you are going against, I got to make 40 by 40 type shit, and I got to do all this. It's just like all of those disturbances that keep you from the flow of the creative. And so I've let that go. I don't have those things that are those margins that I have to like rise to. Just to be able to be present to me is just like the blessing.
I love that. I actually was reading this book by a Black actress, Edwina, I think last name is Finley. And it's about manifestation, calling in the life that you want. And so how do you like listen to God and hear God to get those downloads?
You got to be quiet first. Yeah. Okay. And that might be hard for some of us. I know for me, that's kind of difficult. And being quiet for me looks like leaving enough room for me to hear God. Leaving enough room then looks like, what am I doing with the tools that I'm given? What am I doing with the body that I'm given? I just turned 40 this year, right?
Yeah.
She's cute. 40 is cute. It's cute. It's cute. And all my girlfriends are like, girl, 40 is it? And I'm like, is it? But being able to allow all that has brought you through, being able to acknowledge it and being able to sustain yourself in a way that is not tethered to worldly things is something that I feel as though has been a good anchor for me. Also, too, when I say like staying in the flow of things, knowing that like what's coming to you is coming to you because it's all a part of the journey. And so also, too, by that same accord, what's missing you is missing you because it's a part of the journey. And I think that has taken me a long time to be okay with missing me, because a lot of times, you want to be able to say that I've had this grant opportunity or I've shown and I've screened here. And this year in particular has shown me, girl, like it's all happening just how it was supposed to happen. You just got to walk. You just got to keep moving. And you have to be okay with how it looks. My mom used to always tell me that, like, if you shoot for the stars, it's just as long as you like land among the moon type situation. And more now than ever, I know what she means by that, because like, for instance, you might have a lofty dream of, I want this film to be an A24 film, which is a production studio, right? And then God sends you a whole other studio, and are you going to be upset at the blessing and how it's packaged? I mean, you could. That would waste a lot of time with the blessing. So really just being able to stay in the flow, enjoy what is in front of me, and just not be disturbed what's not in front of me. Yeah.
I love that. I think it speaks to timing.
In
that waiting season.
Child. Yeah.
It can be, it can be very difficult. But like you said, just being still enough to hear and listen to God is critical.
And with that stillness, I'll say as far as like a working artist, I also would say it's easier to be still when all of your funding isn't, or all of your stability isn't coming from your art. And that took me a long time to untether that. my fiance, I'm not gonna call him out, but for the longest time, he like, girl, just stay with the job, girl. Like, damn, why you don't want to stay with the job? And I was just like, I can't. It's claustrophobic. It's stopping me. He was like, no, that's leading you to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's all working in tandem.
Yeah.
But again, if you have it fixed that it has to look a certain type of way, you don't even see how God is like breadcrumbing it, you know? And so I tell everybody, I have so many folks who reach out to me now, like, girl, how you doing? I'm like, I work. Yeah, I work. And then, you know, you do the things on the weekend. Right. Me and my homegirls just made a film. We called together community support because we ain't have a nickel or a dime. And everyone came together and afforded us the opportunity to do that. But I do think as far as being a working, happy artist, being able to, until you can just do it with art, bring yourself up of thinking that you are not where you're supposed to be if you have to work another path.
I love that. Okay, you're preaching today. So in my work, I often think about ancestral memory and sometimes inherited trauma or joy that's brought down from generation to generation, and the ways in which, as Black women, we carry both wounds and wisdom from other generations. So how do these inheritances, you spoke a little bit about it earlier, so whether spiritual, emotional, cultural, show up in your creative practice?
I love that. So I just did my first feature film. Thank you. Yes. So afforded by, I see Ms. D in the audience. I attended Bronze Lens, and we had a really beautiful opportunity to screen there and win a few awards. Shout out to Bronze Lens. It engages what you're speaking to when we talk about inherited trauma. And there is a part in the story in particular where two siblings are going at it. And one character, her name is Deja, and she's speaking about all the things that they inherited from mommy. And, you know, the things are weighty and things that they don't want. And then everyone else is talking about what they inherited. You know, I inherited good looks. I inherited her radical way of thinking and chasing goals. And then there's another scene where they're talking about intergenerational trauma that we inherit. And then the other sibling says, well, what about generational blessings?
Yes.
Like, what did you inherit from that? Yeah. And so I'll say, like, a lot of my work speaks to mother-daughter dynamics. It speaks to the childhood wounds, if you will. And what does it look like to heal by way of being able to speak with your mother and have those very difficult but very grounding conversations of seeing her as a woman first. You know, like she's mom, but that's a woman first, you know, and who is the little girl in her who didn't get to live and explore. And holding space for that in a real way where we honor enough to say I was hurt. You know, I have these wounds, but then I also see where you were hurt. Right. And I see potentially just like a plant, if it has fungus, right, how it will go from leaf to leaf. I've experienced that. I think we all have to a certain extent. I will say for me to heal, it has had to look like, but what are the blessings I inherited? Because I think you can stay so stuck in the murky side of things. And trauma is a really easy, it's an easy suit to wear in the sense of we all have it. And so if not careful, I'll say for me, it can become one of those things where you got so much of it, you get just used to cloaking yourself in it. You know, I had to free myself of that. I had to free myself of being the girl with wounds. You know, what does it look like to look at the most beautiful things that my mother has given me? And it's been a lot of beautiful things, you know, and what does it look like to see how the women in my life, in my family tree, how each generation we healed. You know, not the same, not at the same pacing that we would like, but each generation got some more healing. And so now I'm trying to look at things through that lens when it comes to the Black community, when it comes, because we can all get stuck in the stuff that's not happening, especially in the state of this world. And so I look more so, you know, what is the most beautiful parts of our inner cities. You know, what brings us the most solace? Because there's so much that I can speak to on the other side, but like, what are the roots? What made me so happy to be from this red clay? And what made me so happy is that when I went to the Candy Lady, she was the most coolest, badass lady ever. Like, seeing all that jewelry on her, like, I was like, what? You know, and just seeing how, like, we were just so, always made good with what we have, and we've always expanded upon it. And so I choose to look at the expansion now.
I love that. Yeah, I joke with my mom and say this, is that oftentimes I think as Black women, and we see like memes on social media of like my mom, I was like, you're supposed to know everything and do everything.
Yeah.
Like you have to remember everybody that I talk to you about.
Right.
Like you have to know everything about them. But we also, like you said, we have to recognize that they're human beings and give them grace to that they had their own they have their own journey just as we do. Okay, so I want to break things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say a few words, and I want you can say the first thing that comes to mind. It could be a word, it can be an image, a place.
Oh, like this. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so beauty.
Black women.
Okay. Black liberation.
Now.
Resistance.
Now.
Rest.
Now. DNA.
Outcast. Blackness.
You're welcome.
Atlanta.
Forever I love it.
Peace.
An abundance.
Joy.
Discovering it.
And Black womanhood.
Proud.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll go back to the questions. So in regards to, I saw a clip from your work, Jordan. Okay, so in much media, we know that the story of Black girls' grief is oftentimes non-existent or overexposed and not really without care and empathy.
Yeah.
And so how did you approach building Jordan's emotional world in a way that honors her vulnerability while also protecting her dignity and complexity?
Thank you for that. So Jordan is a short film proof of concept and hopes to be an episodic series one day. And Jordan follows a young girl. Her name is Jordan Conway. She loves going fishing with her dad, similar to myself. That's their pastime. They do it all the time. Jordan's mother unfortunately passed away. So she's exploring the world without having that matriarchal figure, but there are other folks in the community who show up for her. And this short snippet, or a short film, I should say, Jordan discovers what she believes to be a mermaid, but she's actually a siren. And so, you know, siren got different energies, right?
Yeah.
And in discovering this siren and learning more about her, she discovers that this siren is suffering from climate pollution. And suffering from it in a way that her voice is no longer her voice. She can't sing her siren song. And like most fairy tales, she wants to be a human, right? So spoiler alert, but she swaps bodies, if you will. Jordan gets a wish to be a siren hybrid. The mermaid who is a siren, she gets to be a woman siren, if you will. And your question was, how did I guess, create that atmosphere for Jordan to be?
Yeah.
Well, I was telling you early on that a lot of the films that I first loved were John Hughes films. And if y'all familiar with John Hughes, Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club, all of those, like John Hughes did like a Slice of America coming of age. And John was based in Chicago, from Chicago, but he ain't know no Black folks, not a one, not a janitor, not nothing. And so like in his work, I felt as though I saw myself because, you know, coming of age, youth, defining your voice, but I never saw folks who looked like me on the screen. And so it's always been my biggest desire, if you will, to create coming of age stories where Black girls are at the center of them. And for Jordan's story in particular, I wanted to show what it looks like for a Black child to grow up in a home where nothing is off limits in regards to their playtime. I know, like a lot of us, you know, you probably grew up with your grandmama got like the plastic stuff on the sofa stuff situation.
Exactly.
Like Jordan ain't got none of that. Yeah, she ain't got none of that. The whole house is, the world is her oyster, so to speak. And with that, her father creates the energy that allows Jordan to feel as though she can play, she can retreat, she can create new portals. And so I wanted to create a world where we see a young girl coming of age. We see her, you know, colorfully expressing herself with other girls. And it's safe, and she's not scolded for being colorful. She's not scolded for wanting to paint outside the lines. She can explore. And for me growing up, I always say that my dad treated me like a son, S-U-N. He doesn't have any boys, but I was always treated as if I had no restraints. It was not through the lens of a father raising a girl. It was through the lens of a father raising a free child. And so I wanted to look like, what does it look like when Black children are free? Yeah.
Okay, I love that. Yes.
Thank y'all.
Okay, it's a perfect segue because I was going to talk about Spelman. I know you've shown a lot of your work at Spelman, and you created the Africa Forecast.
Yeah.
He said Spelman. Okay. And so Spelman is a special place, as you know, and it's a place where Black women are encouraged to lead, create, and imagine. And so what's some advice you would give to up-and-coming Black women artists, or even some Black college women who aspire to be like you one day?
The beloved Toni Morrison always speaks to a writer writes. And so I think for me, it is to be the things that we speak of, we have to really engage them. And I think a lot of times, especially with artistry, it's like, you know, you have what people perceive as a sexy side, but they don't really get to see you in the studio, like just scratching your head, like where are the ideas flowing from? Or if you don't have the materials that you need, how do you go out and you find them by way of, you know, collaborating with other artists and all of that. So I would say starting at doing the work and less of wanting to even exhibit. Just do the work. I think I got lost for a long time, and lost in a good way, of just creating work with House of June. And this was before we like submitted to film festivals. This was before we had screenings. It was so much of us just tinkering and finding out what pissed us off, what made us happy, and how we wanted to show that through our lens. And so I say, like, tinker as long as you can, you know, just like explore, work in all of the mediums, see what fluidly comes through, and see what, you know, you want to come through, but you don't necessarily have to work in that medium yet. I think as an artist, freeing ourselves up of having to show the world what we're doing, allows us just to be able to just, I think, work in a more holistic way. Yeah.
I love that. And so some of our work, I've looked at Black women's experience of authenticity in the workplace, so across different fields. And so thinking about like who we are, who we may be expected to be, and who we would like to become. Yeah. So when do you feel most of your authentic or unapologetic self? And that could be in your art and or in life in general.
I was telling someone not too long ago that when I was untethering myself from like Ebony as Ebony and Ebony the artist, because I had to do that because I think I was just melding it too much, and I was breaking my own heart because Ebony the artist, when she gets rejection, she takes it personal, like really personal. Ebony, when she's not tethering herself from the artist, I realized that at the root of everything that I do, whether it's in art, whether it's outside of art, is I exist to see Black people whole. And so outside of the work that I do as an artist, I'm going to always do that work. And for me, that was such a paramount way to just exist and think. And it allowed me to realize that just existing, sharing space with you is doing the work. Yeah. You know, and obviously if I turn my lens on you, there's a different part of the work that's happening. Yeah. But at the root of the work that I do, it is to see Black folks living in the fullness of who they are. And I can do that in anyway. I can do that showing up in a community garden. I can do that at the clothing swap. I can do that when I get my hair braided. You know, like it's so many ways that I do that. And that just allowed for me to engage in a different way, I think, with art as well.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so I have a few more questions and then we'll open it up for the audience. So much of the industry rewards trauma-centered narratives. Especially about Black life. So in your work, how do you resist being solely reduced to pain and protect your creativity?
I think by first honoring the pain, and honoring the pain in a way of, in particular, what is hurting? If anything is bleeding out, can we stop the blood from hemorrhaging? Like, what can I do to save the vitality of that source of energy, if you will? I feel like a lot of times when it comes to narrative, drama always sells. And so I think that's just a low-hanging way to just look at things, or low-hanging fruit, if you will. It's just the easiest to pick. And so I don't necessarily blame folks for going for things that, you know, make folks more titillated and, you know, make folks want to kind of turn their head, if you will, in that way. I love entertainment. But with that being said, I think that when we are showing the interior of folks' lives, if we are showing the source of the pain, and if we are showing how also too there's balm for it, even if that character doesn't get fully healed, I like to engage that there is balm, there is hope. And so for me, I think that there one is not absent of the other. I'm sure folks have seen Precious. I only could watch it once, literally. There are worlds that Precious exists. You know, unfortunately so. I also know that there are worlds that Precious exists where there are Medeas and aunties who make sure that baby don't never get hurt again. Like, I know that those folks exist in that same world. And so instead of only showing one side of the frame, if you will, I open it up. And yeah, we have trauma. We have those pockets of hurt, right? But I know what I know is Black people are always helping heal each other. And so I don't like for the trauma to be absent of the healing that I know is happening in that same community.
I love that. Yeah, and that's something too that is a challenge within academia, and like especially doing work on research on Black girls and women, and we say that we don't want to focus or do research on a deficit perspective. But right, I think it's find that balance of like a lot of my work has looked at how Black women experience discrimination, but then ways in which they cope with it, like how they overcome those different stressors. So I like how you said that it's kind of both and Okay. So the next question is, as someone who in my work, you know, thinking a lot about emotional and psychological impact of representation, particularly of Black women. So I'm curious of what kind of internal shifts or affirmations do you hope your work sparks in the Black community, or particularly in Black girls and women?
So I will say, in particular, being a Black girl from the South, I always hope that my work sparks that you can bloom where you're planted. I think a lot of times, in particular, being a creative that is based in the South, there is quite often a push, if you make it up to a certain point, of, girl, you got to leave here to grow. And I won't argue that at the speed in which you want to grow, potentially you might want to look other places, because I stole this from Erykah Badu. It is a slow burn, right? With that being said, with a slow burn, if we liken it to a crock pot, which is one of my favorite things, it's just better. You know, everything is just meddling. Everything's doing what it needs to do. It's touching a little bit more than, you know, touching and agreeing. So I think for me, being an artist that's based in the South, I always hope that folks know that there are opportunities here, that there's community here, that we are not slow and left behind. We are not looking for our comrades and our brothers on the West Coast or, you know, up north to lead the way for us. We are visionaries in our own right, and we have been for some time. So whatever insecurities come from being grounded in a more geographical location where the spotlight isn't on per se in certain ways, I hope that folks are maybe not inspired, but they know that they can do the work where they are. And also too, you know, since we're not trees, you can always move. You can always gravitate to where the work has more opportunity. But just being based in the South, I'm always wanting to just tout that a little bit more. That I think there's so many spaces, so many igniters here that deserve more recognition. And so I'm always gonna say, like, you ain't got to go nowhere. Yeah, you can stay in the South. You can bloom here.
Okay, nice. So thinking about what are some spaces in Atlanta that you just love to film?
Oh, so West End area.
Okay,
yeah, I love West End area. My next feature film, I want to do it Westview, Hunter Hills. It is the motif in that film is like the color green. It has like a lot of symbolic nature about the color green. And I promise you, everywhere I drive in the West End, I see like so many greenhouses. So it's already ready for me to go. I would say South Side, anywhere where Black folks are still high in numbers as far as zip code goes. You just have a natural landscape of your selection to choose from. I also think when it comes to filming here in particular, in Black communities, we're so warm, we're so inviting. I was filming in a cul-de-sac and I ain't told no neighbors I was going to be filming. And everybody came outside and just was asking us what we was doing. It was like, you need to run chorus through my driveway. So just the community effort of seeing folks who look like you doing things, I think it's very supported and celebrated in a way when you go other places, obviously, because they see so much of it. It's kind of like, girl, get out my way. But here it's more inviting. Okay,
love that. So think about, of course, everything that's happening. And we talked about this a little bit earlier about how higher ed is being impacted by what's happening politically. But can you speak to how the film industry, and you particularly, how you're being impacted by what's happening politically?
Earlier we were talking about how there are a lot of folks who are pulling out of the States in general, going overseas to film. So that's a huge thing for bigger tier projects. A lot of just even reality shows here don't film as much anymore. I will say what I share with you because I'm in a space where I am working towards having more studio relationships, if you will. But more now than ever, you are afforded the opportunity to just create. And I think as an independent maker, I think it's a beautiful space to be in because you're not beholden to anyone. Once folks start giving you money, folks start giving you opinions. Like there's a lot that comes with funding, right? And so I think just being a storyteller who is able to create and not have to have anyone greenlight you is something that I'm seizing more of. Obviously, I have projects that are at different tiers and need different other financing, but I don't think that the dollar, if you will, has stopped me from creating. And with that being with folks pulling out of Georgia in the sense of bigger projects, it's left more conversations with some of the studios of seeing more independent makers. So now we're invited to conversations as far as like the studio rates being a little bit more attainable for folks who aren't coming in at Marvel. I say that it all works how it's supposed to work, and folks who are going to create always have found ways to create. So I think that now more than ever, independent is the way to go.
My last question before we open it up to the audience, what's the next story? It could be stories that you want to tell.
So with the House of June, we are doing a horror anthology, and it's called PMS, which is PMS, but also it's an acronym for Please Make Sense. And so we're going to do 3 installments of that, and they are like 3 minutes each, and that's been exciting. And then the next feature film that I'm tasking myself to write by the end of this year is when I was telling you about the green motif. And that's more of a very Atlanta family story where I'm getting to use Atlanta more as a character, if you will. So I'm excited about that and just really hoping, again, to be able to do it in a way where I don't have to wait for that green light as long. So working towards that now.
Okay, love it. All righty. So now we'll open it up for the audience. Any questions or comments?
Hey. It's so good to be here. I had the opportunity to see Jordan, as you know, at the Rialto. Ooh. And I just wanted to acknowledge that you made it effortless for us to see just a Black girl in an environment where it wasn't even, it felt like her household, her father didn't create an environment to say, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But it was just, she could be. And I felt that as soon as the movie started. So I just want to acknowledge that it absolutely felt that way. But that's been, what, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to be able to make it a series? Like, what is your vision next for Jordan? My daughter would want me to ask that question.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So I am rewriting the pilot right now. There is, because it's centered on climate, there is a grant that I want to apply to at the end of November for it. So I'm hoping that I can submit it today and get more eyes on it. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because I'm learning too a lot with the climate matters. Yeah.
I have two questions. One was about I'm still struck by your remarks about not taking it personal and separating, Ebony, the person, from the, and as a certified Leo, I do not do that. But it's something that I've heard and perhaps been advised upon my whole life.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. But as we know, as Black girls and women, when every space that you walk into, it's met with misogynoir, doubt, or I just don't want you there, or I don't believe that you deserve to be here, or shut up and wait your turn. The taking it personal, I'm speaking just for me, is not so much because I want to, but that is how I've Jedi mind tricked myself through a lot of these spaces. So I would just love for you to hear, I would love to hear more about how you've evolved and transcended into the not taking it personal. And is taking it personal ever useful?
Absolutely.
And my second question is, how can we be overly supportive to you in your next phase of your journey?
Thank you. So yes, absolutely. Take it personal. A few folks who know me really well say she's still taking things personal. So yes, I am. I have not transcended completely yet. So I'm really good at two things. I'm really good at taking my toys and leaving. I only got like 1.5 times to hurt my feelings. And I ain't even gonna give you another opportunity. And so even when it comes to like grant making, I've had to like look at myself through two different lenses. One is certain grants I've applied to, I look at some folks who are my comrades and my homies, and I know that it's just not my time yet. But they don't mean to take, the kettle off the stove. It's just not my time yet. And so while it's just not my time yet, I got to get busy doing something else on the other side of the stove, right? And so if we got the greens, they're going to take longer. We leave them alone. Stop opening the pot. You got to leave the pot alone now. Leave the lid on now. And you go take care of the macaroni and cheese. You go do something else. And so what I've had to like really afford myself the space of being like, while this is culminating, while this is stewing, because it's all working for my good, because look at us. Come on now. Like, how can I not be blessed? Like, so I have those moments where I'm just like, God, I know what I know, which is it's all coming to fruition, but I got to stay busy in the visualizing. I got to stay busy in the mapping. I can't get tethered to what I think these things are affording or bringing me, right? So get so busy where you don't even worry about the greens. That's one. Two, like I told you, folks ain't got a lot of time to hurt my feelings. And so even when I feel like certain room, if you will, if I'm dealing with certain energies that I feel are not something that I want to work with, then I have to realize that me taking my toys away might mean that I have to play alone for a little while, or I might have to slow burn a little while, and I'm okay with that because I already know what the bigger picture is, right? And so I say the same for all of us. I think that it's okay, especially as Black women, to get pissed off. I say do it more, to be honest with you. And that what I just said. But also, too, I think in being pissed off, what are you being pissed off at? That's what I had to ask myself. Am I being pissed off because I wasn't invited to certain places? Potentially, because ego is a real thing. And if I'm getting pissed off because of that, then I'm not busy enough doing the work. So it's a lot of self-evaluation. How can you support me? By praying for me. I take a lot of those. Also seeing my films. I hope that the one, A Mess of Memories, is going to be on television soon enough for you all to see. Thank you for that.
Listen, I'm over here having a time today. But my question is more of a conceptual or aesthetic question.
Yeah.
Right? One of the more salient things you talked about today was time and your relationship to time. Even just now in the comment that you made around like giving yourself time to, be here, work on something else. And you know what I mean? And what I'm really interested in is the ways in which like a Western sort of concept of linear time shapes the way we think about time, as opposed to an African or an indigenous system of time, which is more cyclical.
I love
right?
that.
Like everything comes back around again. And I'm really curious to know, from an aesthetic standpoint, have you attempted to reorient our sense of time through your film projects, which, again, as we understand media, is very beginning, middle, end, right? And we understand that that's not necessarily the case in real life. There's no real beginning, middle, end. Things continue on, as you alluded to before.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to know, from an aesthetic perspective, have you attempted to play with that? And what are the challenges for you in doing so?
I love that question. So what first came to mind was House of June. We had a project called Levitate, Levitate, Levitate. That's the one that screened at the airport, and it was about a bunch of indigo children who were floating over Western Atlanta to go back to the cosmos. That plays a lot with time in regards to why they are going back to the cosmos, what's sending them to the cosmos. The dearly Trayvon Martin, when he was taken away from us, I remember sitting on my porch and looking at the cosmos and being like, it got to be a way to connect from here to there. Like, it just has to be, right? And growing up a preacher's kid, knowing about the heavens and all of that, like, I needed it in a way where like I could reach up to the heavens and touch it, because I was so through dealing on this plane with everything, and with that, I thought about time, and I thought about what does it look like for, in particular, Black children who are a gift to us, right? To be here on borrowed time, if you will, and transcending to another place. Some would say that is a way to cope and heal. I would agree as well. But as I do think about the circular nature, in particular of like indigenous and African practices, I do circle around with how time looks and how time isn't escaping us. Even as I look at now, my father recently is in a different journey in his body. And I look at how time is not against him in his healing, right? And so I have been like really thinking about what does it look like to transmute through different portals. And what does it also look like to sometimes be in a portal and not know it? That's been something I've been playing around with a lot.
I love that. I'm a dreamer, so I have a lot of dreams, and what you spoke to, thinking about time and different portals, is like I'm in the process now, just kind of learning and interpreting a lot of like what those dreams mean.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's next question. Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry I was late.
No
so
worries.
If you already answered my question, I'm sorry in advance. But when I was here, you mentioned that you're an artist from the South, and you feel like, artistically speaking, you're not a tree. So if you need to move, you should move around.
Yeah.
But as an artist, personally, do you feel that your artistic perspective represents the Southern Black culture more, or the Black unifier? If that makes sense.
It does make sense. I would definitely say I'm like entrenched in red clay. Yeah. It's up to my collarbone. And I think so much because I feel like there's so many stories that have not been told. from the red clay, from this soil. And there's so many, like, especially when we talk about lore. I'm like, oh my God, like all the places we could go, right? So I'm excited, if you will, to go more into ancestral work, more into just like very geographical stories, in the sense of being rooted from here. All my folks, I was sharing with you earlier, folks being from the Carolinas and Alabama, there's just so much uncharted territory that I would love to explore as a storyteller. So I would say I lean into red clay perspective. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? Oh, okay.
Ebony, I just want to say, when I think about time as one of the elders in the room,
Yeah.
we met a decade ago at Girl Scouts.
We did.
And when I saw you there and walking around and sashaying through those corridors with your beautiful hair and wide hips, it was so impressive, the confidence that you had. I had no idea that this was in you or this was a dream of yours.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited and proud to see where you've traversed from our little stint together at NBAF, and you're doing it. And so we're just so pleased with you, and everything that you're doing here. So thank you for continuing to share your stories with us.
I appreciate it. So if I can, let me just tell y'all something. So I'm so blessed. I feel like I have just been able to, I told you, I did not attend Spelman, but I feel blessed by the sisterhood as well. But when it comes to Vicky and when it comes to women like Vicky, she's a North Star to me. And when I just saw like what it looked like to be just a badass Black woman, you know, about your business, about your fly, who left room for others to also sharpen their flyness as well. I had such great North Stars, such as Vicky. And she said small stint. It might have been small, but it stayed with me forever. You know, just being able to see and have a presence with Black women who are just so vivacious and full of life. And I think that's what's always forever inspiring me, seeing how we're so full of life at each part of our journey. And like I said, like with my girlfriends who are like, girl, 40 plus, it's just going to give all the things it needs to give. So thank you. And thank you, Ro, and all of the North Stars who just like poured into me.
Okay, so I have is there another question? Okay. And then I have one more.
Misty. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, in regards to, we can just take the feature film, for example. When I first got the opportunity with Trilliff Institute, which is a part of Trilliff Studios, I knew early on, Ms. D, that I wanted to bring some of the community folks who had made some of the short films with me, right? Like we worked our whole careers, all these decades of just doing work for free. And I was like, when I finally got some money, I got to bring some people with me. And so I did that. I was able to, my fiance, now producer, he was a partner on the project. I'm so happy he was there. And then my DP, James, he also DP Jordan, and talked to plants with Detweiler. And then Detweiler, you know, having her, like, I think she was working on the piano at that time. And Brandon was like, look to your left. And she walking into the doors and gives me a big hug and just pouring into me and pouring into the actors and all of that type of stuff. So I've always been so fortunate to work with such brilliant artists, and in particular, brilliant Black artists. And in regards to carrying on and working on other projects, you can't bring everybody all the time, right? But as many as we can, we bring along and we grow together. And from that project on, now me and the homies who have never done a feature film, we all have our first feature under our belt, right? And so now the powers that be, when we go to the next meeting, they can't say you ain't did a thing. Not only I did it, I won an award for it, you know? Yes. So just being able to like sit, being able to like sit in that has really been a blessing. So to your point, Ms. D, cultivating those very solid relationships and then growing with them is something I think that we all desire to do as artists and creatives.
I love it. I'm gonna ask one more question.
Yes.
So you say you turned 40.
Mm-hmm.
So what would the 40-year-old Ebony tell the 7 or 8-year-old Ebony?
So, I mean, I think a lot of people say, it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it is. It's going to be okay. I would say be more tender to yourself. And being more tender to yourself, don't wait until you have the gala to wear that thing that you always wanted to wear. Like, put that shit on. Yeah, might as well put it on now.
Right.
And so I would say, like, less moments of holding out for celebration, and celebrate the now. And echoing what I was sharing earlier about my father, and just as folks in my family get older and we were holding out for moments, and then them folks might not be able to hold out with you.
Right.
Like, celebrate, do all the things now, and do it in a way where you're not doing it to have folks look at you, you're not doing it to peacock, you're doing it because you really enjoy the essence of who you are. And I think for a long time, especially, the starving artist model, we ain't got a lot of things. And so we just work on what we have, but more opportunities to just be that divine, funky source of energy, and not have to like put it on a shelf and when I get this age, when it looks this way, I'll do all those things.
Yeah.
Do it now.
I love it. Okay, can we show some love? Round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for ADAMA, the tech, for making this possible. So thank you all for coming.
So I'd like to ask everybody to join me now as we watch a trailer from Ebony Blanding's A Mess of Memories.
In 3 days, it's much as possible for the city to I'm producing, directing, and starring in a documentary about our collective healing. It's a lot work.
It's sick, D.
I'm going to be everything into a collection. I'm a collector. We have unmanageable amounts of collections.
So obviously, victim talk, you gotta stop, Deja. You're not mad. Why you not mad? Because I'm mad.
Times you ever. Is there a way just to keep your peace? Most of those things I've just to make y'all.
We need everything we get home.
You know somehow you can pass by house after house and never know what's going on inside? I know the front door, right? So what now?
That looks amazing.
I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to do better than that, y'all. Give it up for Dr. Danielle Dickens, Ebony Blanding. This was an absolutely amazing conversation today. They didn't lie when they said you were a preacher's child, because we definitely got a sermon in here today. I'm walking away with a message when you used your crock pot analogy of things touching and agreeing. I think that's the lesson for today, touching and agreeing. And I think that is also reflective of what we are building here with the African Diaspora Art Museum of Atlanta. We are building a space for us to touch and agree, to affirm one another, to see one another, to be with one another, to learn from brilliant minds like the two people that have shared their time with us today. And in order for us to do that, I got to put my preacher robe on and pass the collection plate. We can't do this without your support. We need you to touch and agree with us, because what we do here is a gift to you. We don't ask you to pay to come in here and experience this. We created a space for you to arrive and be and experience the art and culture of the African diaspora. Not anywhere else in the city can you do this. And your support means that we can continue to do so. You can use the QR code to make a donation right now, or You can support our gift shop. We have a catalog for our current exhibition that's available for sale, as well as some other tchotchkes and things. But, you know, you can also just drop a little something in the bucket. You know, it's all good. It's all love, and it's all in gratitude to folks like Ebony and Dr. Dickens, you know, again, sharing your time, sharing your creativity, sharing your thoughts, and sharing space with us. We encourage you to check out the exhibition, Patacones, Paintbrushes, and Power. We'll be here for the next 30 minutes or so for you to experience the exhibition. Also, please stop by, enjoy a tea from Waha Juice. These are custom blended teas. She has some packaged, but you can go over and say, hey, I want to try the lavender and the rose petal, and she'll make that blend for you. Again, you know, check out the exhibition, enjoy the teas. There's a wonderful festival happening outside, the Atlanta Plant Festival. You can go and shop with a number of vendors who are selling plants. There's DJ and other kinds of vendors and things out there as well. But welcome to ADAMA, y'all. This is the village. This is where we do it, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you.